So first, I know how much your relationship with your grandfather has meant to you and continues to mean to you as he's exposed you to the gym starting at a young age. So how much of that exposure to greatness, both your grandfather's coaching and the many advanced wrestlers in the gym that you've been exposed to, well, if at all, inspired you or motivated you to take wrestling to another level?
Man, it just inspired me having him in my corner all the time because, ever since I was a little kid, he told me, that I'm better, like basically that I'm better than all these kids. Like I train harder. Like he said, you're gifted. And he just wanted me to keep pushing and always be the best. And so he was at every practice for me, every tournament. Didn't matter where it was, he was always there. So that's one of the biggest things that pushed me to go really far in wrestling and in the MMA world is just his influence on me, just keeping me on the straight and narrow path, and just believing in the things that he's telling me, because I mean they were real, but you just have to believe that stuff yourself.
Yeah, that's great. Like you said, you've been wrestling competitively since you were about like 8 years old, and you did turn into one of the best in the country. Eventually on national teams at like 12, and then you even competed for some an NCAA national title
Yep.
as a true freshman here in Ohio at Notre Dame College. So what was the primary motive to switch from competitive wrestling to MMA? And can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, man. I just wasn't built for the college lifestyle. I was
Mhm.
passing all my classes and doing good things, but at the end of the day, I wasn't making any money, and I wasn't happy um, doing that. I was competing for free. I got tired of that, man, and that's kind of when I switched over to MMA. And it was crazy because within a year, my life completely changed. It hit a complete 180. I was happy. I had money in my pocket. I could go out to eat whenever I needed to. Like, I wasn't stuck on this cheap college style lifestyle. You know what I mean? Just trying to make it by. So that was the biggest thing for me. College was great. I met so many great people. Some of my best friends I trained with at Notre Dame, and they're still some of my best friends to this day. But at the end of the day, man, I wasn't happy. I was 14 hours away from my family, and that's a big thing for me. So, um, yeah, I just didn't vibe with it. I didn't like it, and I tried for like 3 years to wrestle in college, and whatever I did. Um, it didn't it almost seemed like whatever I was doing, it wasn't working. I kept trying to, okay, get my grades up, okay, do this, do this, do this. I was on top of everything, but it just wasn't working out to get me back on the mat competitively underneath the NCAA rules at the time. Nowadays it wouldn't be a problem, but at that time, before they changed a lot of the NCAA rules, it was a problem.
So how did you start MMA? Like when did you start that?
I would have started, I think 2021, I believe.
Oh,
um, yeah, I moved back home to Kansas City. And my first day back, I showed up to Glory MMA, led by James Krause and Jason High and a bunch of other great guys. And, I said, I want to be a UFC fighter. And, they kind of looked at me like, we heard this thousands of times, like you're not anything special. And so I went and showed them that I could be, and after that, after my first couple of weeks there, they're like, this kid is tough. Like he's built for this. He's made for this. And so they started helping me out a lot more, giving me more privates, more pad sessions. And then from there, it just took off quickly.
well, like you said, you are someone who definitely is built for this, and extremely focused, disciplined, and always pushing to reach that next step. So, I know you said in a previous podcast that your inability to become a four-time state champion, due to disqualifications, is one of the reasons you decided to continue wrestling. Even after high school. So,
Yeah.
have you developed a similar urge to push even further since getting robbed in your last fight? Or have you been or have you been trying to keep a clear mindset, in the same mindset that you had going into the Rodriguez fight, since it had clearly been working?
Kind of a little of both. I learned a lot in that fight. This is my first fight going the distance, actually.
Mhm.
Um, but I've always had this fire under me, but now I actually have a great opportunity to really push in the sport. Before I was living in my RV and you know just barely getting by. I mean, it was working, but I was living at the gym and all this stuff. And I got this beautiful house, and you know, I got a daughter now, and so I think a lot of that is just getting me in the right environment so that I can fully dedicate everything I have to my craft. A lot of times, okay, I go to MMA practice, now I have to go to work. And then you only get to train once or twice a day. Now I can train 3, 4 times a day, and still get all my recovery and still do everything right. So it's a little bit of both, man. But the mindset's the same. I know I didn't lose that fight, so it doesn't hurt me at all. But the big thing is I got to learn from what happened in the fight, regardless of whether I thought I won or not.
Yeah. So transitioning to like more of a daily routine. I know you just said that you train 4 times a day. Can you just like walk us through, what you're doing every day?
Oh man, in the morning I get up, I come do some exercise with oxygen, and I get under the red light panels, red light therapy, um, and head over to the gym bright and early. Usually I'll have a pad session about what time? 8:15 to 9:30. Then I go into my pro MMA class. That goes for about 2 hours, and then I get done with that, recover. Go. Over to strength and conditioning over at Landau's Performance. It's like a 30-minute drive. I get like an hour in between practice and that. Go over to strength and conditioning, and then come home, shower, get cleaned up, eat some good food, and then, go on a run or bike or whatever I need to do to get the cardio in.
Wow. Then, sorry, I have a few more questions. So it is on the record that after in one of your post-fight interviews, that you were described as someone with a nomadic lifestyle. So can you expand on that, and what that means, and has that continued since being a father?
Yeah, man. Like I said before, I was living in my RV, kind of traveling around, constantly having to move it and park in new places and stuff like that. Um, like I said, I have this house now, so a little less, but also, like to go camping a lot. I'm out here in Colorado now, so we'll go camping. As soon as my daughter gets a little older, we'll start camping a little more and, being out in the mountains basically probably every weekend. I don't really go out and party or like go to the city. I like to go out where nobody's at and go as far into the woods as possible.
When you were living in your RV, like you said, it's hard to train, multiple times a day. So what were you doing then, and how have you adjusted, or like how were you able to adjust, to high level competition when you're living in an RV?
Um, the biggest thing is there's always something broken when you live in an RV, so that takes up a lot of your time trying to fix it. And one thing a lot of people don't know is that when you live in an RV, it's usually older retired people, and so like if you don't know how to work on it yourself, you're gonna get taxed heavy on the repairs, even if it's something small. So when you're living in it, as someone like my age, you got to be able to fix anything that breaks. And so I spent a lot of time fixing things. Fridge would go out, have to fix the fridge. Okay, next week the toilet goes out, got to fix the toilet. These are all big jobs. So, uh, yeah, a lot of time doing that. And then, a lot of time cooking. It takes a lot longer to cook because you have a way smaller burner and stuff like that. I mean, everything was basically the same, man. It was just I didn't have time to relax. I was constantly on the go, so I wasn't getting the recovery that some of these other guys get. They don't have to go do that. And then beyond that, I was driving Uber and at all hours of the night trying to make some extra money while I'm training full time. Because as you probably know, we don't get paid unless we fight. So
Right.
I train every day, don't get paid, and that's a full work day. So 6, 7, 8 hours.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna revisit some of your goals since we're like halfway through the year. Revisiting some of your goals that you made for yourself for 2024. You wanted to fight 3 times, but primarily you just wanted to gain a lot of experience. do you have a fight lined up soon to maybe get a second, third fight by the end of the year? But if not, I'm sure you've still been able to gain a lot of experience, especially since that last Rodriguez fight. So, can you just tell about some of the things that like you've learned about yourself, either as a fighter or just in general?
Okay, yeah. So the first part, I do not have a fight yet, but I'm ready to take one. All I'm doing is waiting on the call. Um, I'm in fight shape. I'm in better shape than I was for my Rodriguez fight. So um, I'm active, man. I'm ready to go. And it's just time for the UFC to give me a call, and we'll get a fight set up. Hopefully, late July, August would be perfect, and then I'll be able to fit another one in before the end of the year. So I think we'll hit that 3 fights this year mark. I don't have any injuries or anything like that. Um, so yeah, we'll be good there. And then just things I learned about myself, man. I learned that one, I got to fix a couple things, just with my fighting style. Not even anything I'm doing. Just I have to fix a couple small details. Um, that, and then I learned that I'm not going to quit on myself. In my Christian Rodriguez fight in the third round. Um, I was going through some struggles, obviously, and a lot of people would have quit. A lot of people in the UFC would have quit. You see it every weekend. They get tired and just let them choke them or whatever. And I learned that that's not going to happen with me. I'm going to stick around the whole fight, no matter what, no matter if I'm getting beat up or whatever. Also, that was the first fight I'd actually been hit more than once in the fight, so that's pretty crazy too. I learned it doesn't hurt as bad as I thought it would. So that's another good thing. Yeah, I just learned my grit. I learned that I still have the grit and the fire. I just need to go back to the drawing board and just fix a couple small details. And I've been doing a lot of that. I've been training with Chris. Sorry, I was saying the wrong name. Chris Gutierrez. Every day now. He's top 15 right now at 135. One of the best strikers in the UFC, and so we've been working a lot of striking. Um, every day with Coach Mark Montoya, and we've seen massive gains in between my last fight and now, and so really it's just about applying those in the fight. Because my last fight I wasn't very happy with my performance. I performed well, I did well, um, especially with that being my first fight, going 3 rounds, et cetera, et cetera. I did well, but there's just the things that we needed to fix, and I think that's exactly what we're doing.
Nice. So and then I know, just finally, I know one of your more long-term goals, or maybe not goals, but in the plans, long term, is to capitalize on one of your offers to train with fellow Armenian UFC fighter Arman Sarukian. Have you been able to take him up on this offer, or do you have anything planned for that?
No, nothing planned yet, man. I'm hoping to fight like 1 or 2 more times. Get
Okay.
some money in my pocket, and then I can go down to Florida whenever I want, and train with him for a few weeks. I'm not going to switch camps or anything, but I definitely want to get to train with him. I think I'd be a great partner for him, and he'd be a great partner for me. He's a little bigger, but I think that we could flow very well together, and he could teach me some vet tricks that I don't know yet. So I think it'd be great for us to link up at some point.
That's all I have. Thank you so much for joining. I
Hell yeah.
really appreciate it. Enjoy your night. I really appreciate it. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
man. Hell yeah. Thank you, man.